Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Songs for a Blue Day. My name is Rob Carley, and I'm very excited tonight to have with us two wonderful musicians. Scott Helman is with us. There's Scott and Bob Egan. Hey, Bob. And for those of you who don't know, the Awesome Music Project, what we do is we explore the connections between music and mental health through the sharing of songs and stories. And we are dedicated to funding research and awareness projects related to music and mental health across the country. So tonight, Mr. Bob Egan, before I guess I was going to introduce you guys before we even get to what we're going to do. For those of you who don't know, Bob Egan has worn a lot of hats in his career. I think he's played on over 100, 200. He'll tell you later, 300 records. I don't know. He's played on a lot of records. He's worked with lots of different bands, including Wilco, and most famously and most recently, the band Blue Rodeo, having played on a number of award-winning records. And Scott Helman emerged onto the scene in Canada in 2014 with his hit song Bungalow. And since that, since that year, he's gone on, I think every year almost, he gets nominated for some Juno Award. And this year it's up for video for Wait No More. And if you hadn't heard him sing, well, he's got the pipes. And I just want to say hi, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for that nice intro too.
Well, I should tell you that the month of May is World Mental Health Month. And what we're doing is every week we're doing a different kind of guest. And as a part of this campaign where we have sharing stories and songs, we also have a My Happy Song campaign. So today I'm going to ask both of you guys about what your happy song is. But I want to say we've been doing this since the beginning of May, since May 3rd. And we've raised, here it is now. All you have to do is tag a song that you like or means something to you on social media and put the hashtag My Happy Song and tag us, the Awesome Music Project. And what happens is $1 will go toward a number of charities, including Regent Park School of Music, Sarah McLachlan School of Music in Vancouver, and jack.org, which is a national charity related to teen suicide prevention. So some great causes. And we've raised, I think we've got over 560 songs so far on the list. And we are getting these donations also matched. So we're up into orders of magnitude of thousands of dollars, but we really want to get to a few more thousands of dollars. So spread the word and tell your friends. Now, without further me blabbing on about the Awesome Music Project, I'd really like to get to some storytelling. So Bob Egan has a story in our book called The Awesome Music Project, Songs of Hope and Happiness, about his experiences recording a song a long time ago called Bobcaygeon. And maybe I've said enough. Bob, you have the mic.
All right. Hello, Mom. We'll start with that. So the story of recording Bobcaygeon starts in the South, in the Mid-South, about 2 hours south of Memphis in Oxford, Mississippi, where I was living in the late 90s as a starving solo artist. And I get a call in January of 98 from the Tragically Hip saying, hey, you want to come up to Canada and record on our record? And I was like, sure, when? They're going, well, now. I'm going, it's January. Like I'm in Mississippi. There's no way in hell I'm coming to Canada. They're going, oh, come on. It's not that bad. We'll take care of you. So, you know, who can resist when the Tragically Hip calls, right? So I got on a plane. They sent me down a ticket and I fly up. I'm picked up in Toronto. And I get in the car, the driver, and full hospitality spread. You know, anything you can imagine is there waiting for me. They're going to take care of me in the car. And he's got 4-wheel drive and snow tires, and it's a good thing because it was a blizzard. And about, an hour into the drive over to their studio outside of Kingston, he says, oh, by the way, there's been a power outage. I said, oh, okay, no big deal. He said, no, it's most of the East Coast of Canada and the United States. It's a major world event. There is a power outage, but we have power in the studio. So we're going to move ahead with this recording. I get to the studio and I'm welcomed with open arms. I don't, I've met the guys a couple times and they just treated me like a king. They weren't rock stars at all, just sweethearts of guys. And recorded for 3-4 days. I don't remember. It was just food, drink, smoke, tell stories, play some music, blah, blah, blah. I go back to Mississippi, and I'm there for almost 2 more years. And Blue Rodeo calls and says, hey, we want you to move to Canada to join the band. And now, you know, as a bit of a background, I've moved my whole life, and I've all over the Midwest in the States. You know, I moved 4 times by the time I was in the 6th grade. And I had this sense I've never, ever felt at home, truly at home anywhere. So I thought, well, what's one more stop? You know, Blue Rodeo. Okay, you know, great band. I'll give this a shot. So they send me down all the paperwork, because it's a lot of work to get into Canada at that time. And we get to the border. It took us 2 days. They sent down a moving van. We get to the border. I go into the border guard with all the paperwork, and I lay it out there. And he goes, "Okay, you're looking for a visa to come into this country as a musician." And he goes, "Well, this isn't going to work." And he kept, an old guy, right? He keeps looking through the pages, and he's going, "Nope, nope, nope." And I'm starting to get nervous here, because this is my whole life. I got nothing to go back to. And I've left Mississippi. And I look behind me, and it's the reception room is now packed with people from all over the world speaking all kinds of languages. And it's starting to jostle at the counter. He closes my file and he sets it aside. He goes, "Next." And I go, "What the heck's going on here?" Then a young woman comes out to help him. And she sees my file there. She opens it up. She looks at it a minute. She looks at me and says, "Blue Rodeo?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "I just love that Jim Cuddy. My sister and I saw him at Niagara-on-the-Lake last month. He was amazing. How long do you want to come into the country for?" A year. She goes, "I'll put you down for 3 years." Fills out all the paperwork. Not a problem. Closes the file. I go out, and there's a guard there, right? A border guard with a dog, and got a big moving van. And, you know, there's nothing in the moving van except for 60 vintage guitars, 20 vintage amps, right? Stuff that you're not supposed to be bringing across the border without a manifest. And I said, "Suppose you need to look in the truck." And he looks at me and he goes, "Say hey to Jimmy for me." I'm going, oh my God. The Border Patrol is in on it. They know who Blue Rodeo is. I just got a free pass into the country. Get in the moving van, turn on the radio. This little song comes on, kind of loping along. I'm going, oh, this is kind of catchy. This is kind of nice. Then about a minute, right, I hear the singer singing. I'm going, wait a minute. This sounds is this that guy? This might be, I think this is the Tragically Hip. Did I play on the song? I don't remember. And then I'm thinking, and then in the B section, all of a sudden, the pedal steel is boom, front and center, mixed really high. And I'm going, that's me. Oh my God. The first song I hear coming into the country is me playing with the Tragically Hip. The announcer comes back on and he says, from the Juno Award-winning Rock Record of the Year for 1999, that's Bobcaygeon by the Tragically Hip. And I had this feeling, this sense just wash over me like, oh my God, I'm home. This is where I belong. These are my people. And that was almost 22 years ago. And this is where I'll die. I am truly home in Canada.
It's a good story, Bob. And it's part of this book here. I forget what page it's on, but it's a wonderful story. And I thank you for sharing it with us. I have a few questions. Maybe Scott does too, about those days. Because, well, Scott, I was going to ask questions to Bob, but now it just occurs to me that, I mean, later on in this broadcast, we're going to hear you sing this song. But you love this song. Why do you love this song so much, Scott?
I love this song for so many reasons. But you know, my parents are both English. So my parents moved to this country in '94 and then they had me. And so I'm the first Canadian of my family. And, you know, I didn't grow up like listening to what I guess we would call Canadian music. I grew up listening to Duran Duran and The Cure and Pink Floyd, and that was pretty much how I grew up. And then just around the part of my life where I started finding, you know, my own voice, I also found all this Canadian music, from Neil Young to Leonard Cohen to the Tragically Hip. And I remember this one particular night, I was up in Muskoka at my friend's cottage, and we were lying down on the dock and we were looking up at the stars, and he was the smarter friend. So he was telling me all about Einstein and Friedrich Nietzsche and all these things I didn't understand. And then that song came on, and I've never forgotten it. And even to this day, if I'm in a country and I miss Canada, that is without a doubt the first song I'll put on. The story is so good, and the chords are incredible, and the way that Gord sounds in that song, it reminds me of home, and it reminds me of what I love about the Tragically Hip. There's truly like a force in that song lyrically, and musically, and obviously Bob's playing is so incredible. So I don't know, there's something magical about the song. I don't know what else to say. It's just,
well, it speaks what you just said there about the power of, you know, one of the things we explore with the Awesome Music Project is the power of music to sort of to heal and to transform us. And it, you know, so many people tell stories about how music can be like a time machine. And what you just said there, you know, when you're away or traveling or you miss Canada and you put that song on, it becomes like a time machine. It can take you right to a place or to a time. It can be a comfort. And I think that's really at the essence of what we talk about when we talk about music, especially, you know, these days during a pandemic, when, pardon the expression, Scott, everything sucks, as your song says. I was thinking about that today. You have a song that came out just before the pandemic. I mean, I know that wasn't what your intention was, but I'm thinking that could have been an anthem for the last year or so.
yeah,
Everything sucks.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's true. And I was lucky enough to be able to play this song for a Juno performance. And then we toured across Canada with Vance Joy, and we were doing really big venues. And I knew there were some dads in those crowds, you know, there was definitely some dudes over 35. And we just threw it in the set list. It was just, it felt natural. And it was a dream come true to be able to play that song across Canada in front of that many people. Was like, it was my favorite part of the night by far. So that really awesome. Brought it full circle for me as well. Yeah.
Wow.
So the power went out, Bob, and was it you were holed up in the studio there, or was it already part of the plan to be there for several days? Or was it like because there was no power you couldn't leave, or were you trapped?
Well, yeah, I guess we were, but I never felt that way. I mean, you know, you've got a full-time cook, right? And you know, it was, and of course, the hip, the creature comforts were provided. Let's just say that. Yeah. It was just, and Steve Berlin was producing, right? Steve Berlin from Los Lobos, and he's a Philly guy, right? And he has got stories. You know, he's really down on all the doo-wop, the East Coast doo-wop from the 50s, and he's a walking encyclopedia. So it was a blast.
Yeah. There's an interesting connection between your two bands. Those two bands, between Blue Rodeo and the Tragically Hip, because I know that you performed your last show with them after you decided to settle down in Kitchener-Waterloo area in 2017, the summer of 2017. Is that right? August of 2017. So that coincided. I think you said your last performance was at Molson Amphitheater, which was concurrent with the last performance of Gord Downey's performance with the Tragically Hip in Kingston on the same night. And tell us about that.
Oh, it was emotional as hell, right? It was Gord's last performance. And, you know, I bonded with Gord in the studio over these songs. And here Blue Rodeo decided to play it in honor of him on the very same night that was the last night he was playing it. And it was my last night performing with Blue Rodeo. And so it was just almost an indescribable period to that to a period of my life.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful, wonderful way to go.
Yeah.
Um,
It's emotional overload, I would think. That's quite a night.
well, Rob, I have to pivot here to tell you how that night ended. For 17 years, I'm in Blue Rodeo, and everything is taken care of, right? You have a full crew, marvelous guys, who help you out. And then at the end of that night, I go upstairs and they give me the gold watch and the cake and the champagne toast, and that's it. And I come down to the loading dock, and there's 22 flight cases with my name on them.
And they're not going to fit in the Uber?
And the crew's gone, yes.
I'm going to need a few Ubers to get me home, please.
Well, I wanted to leave that rarefied world in a way that would ground me. So I rented a truck, and of course, found out that a couple flight cases were missing, and they were at the front of Blue Rodeo's truck. So I had, on a Saturday night, had to drive this huge U-Haul van after I loaded it myself all the way across Toronto to the other side of Toronto to wait for another hour and a half while they unloaded the rodeo truck to get my last flight cases, drive home to Kitchener. It's pouring down rain, and to load all these flight cases into my guitar shop up a flight of stairs. These things are so heavy, I had to unpack most of the flight cases to take the gear out of them, separate from the flight cases. So I got home about 6 o'clock that morning. Yeah. I was well grounded after that.
Stronger. Scott, I want to ask you a bit about, you've done so much in a short time. And it's amazing to watch your career and to hear you sing, and I love it. But I know that here's a little trivia that you probably didn't know. My son, who's 17 years old, attends the same school you attended, and I was wondering if you could say, what would you say if you could to the 17-year-old Scott Helman? What would the 25-year-old Scott Helman say to the 17-year-old Scott Helman?
Shut up.
Shut up.
Shut up and listen. I don't know. I mean, it's hard because, there's part of me that I wouldn't change a thing, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but they've all taught me so many things. But I would just say, just follow your gut. When you're young, you're only young once. And if there's any advice I would give myself or double down on or give any young person out there, it's that, and especially I think this is true for art, but I think it's true for anything. It's like the thing that's so valuable is that you're the only you there is. So be the most you can be, because no one else can do that for you. So, that's something that I learned along the way. And that I think that it takes a long time to learn that, but that's a great
piece of advice. Yeah. So many of us try to be something else that we're not, or try to be like somebody else, or model our behavior after someone else's behavior. And it's unnatural, frankly. And it's not necessarily something that we're going to discover, at 20 or 25 or even 45. It can be part of a lifelong process, but it's a great reminder to people to just, you are yourself, and, you're the only one. So that's a great sentiment, Scott. Thank you for that.
Thanks. Yeah.
As part of the happiness or the My Happy Song campaign, as you know, we're asking everyone what their happy song is. I'm going to put you guys both on the spot and ask if you got a song. It doesn't have to be happy necessarily or make you happy, but it's got to be something like the way Bobcaygeon is. It transforms you or takes you to a different place. And do you have a song that we could share in the chat, or we could go check out and seek and listen to? Bob, you go first.
Are there royalties involved for me?
Could be. You could pick your own song. Absolutely. That's very clever, very savvy of you.
Yeah.
Is that because you have a master's in industrial behavior, industrial management or something? Yeah. I can't believe all the hats you wear. It's unbelievable. Your resume is thick.
Yes, I have a master's in making the most out of being average. I I would back up wholeheartedly with what you're talking about, Scott, like about being yourself, right? There is no currency in being the next somebody else. There's currency in being you. That is the only path for you to succeed, certainly in the arts and probably in life too, right? That's what people want.
Yeah.
And the song that makes me happy these days, other than watching my 5-year-old son dance to early James Brown, is Casey Musgraves' Butterfly.
All right. We're putting it on the list.
That's a good answer. I love Casey Musgraves.
Now there's somebody who followed their own path, right?
And in a genre that doesn't usually accept that, I think. Not to harp on country. I love country music, but I think it's harder to be, a unicorn in country than it is to be in pop. So I think she's amazing for that.
Yeah, and being true to herself and succeeding so well and deserves it. Yeah.
Okay, you're next, Scott. What do you got?
Oh, man, when I get kind of bummed out, I always go back to Sinatra, and not because I have everyone loves Sinatra, but particularly my grandfather, my first record player, my grandfather bought for me in Toronto, my late grandfather, who was amazing. And I remember I bought this Neil Young record, and he was a British man. Like he didn't even know who Neil Young was. He's like, I guess I'll get you this. But he said, I'll only get you a record player if you buy the album Songs for Swingin' Lovers by Frank Sinatra. And so I would say You Make Me Feel So Young, particularly also because my grandfather was a dancer, and he used to throw that on, and he would do this thing called jiving, where he'd be like, ah, ah, and I always think about him spilling his whiskey all over his green carpet, dancing to that.
Oh, that's a great choice. I love Frank Sinatra is one of those vocalists who makes, and you can apply this to almost any artist, when it seems so effortless, like it sounds like he's talking or speaking, and then you try to sing along and you realize how difficult it is. There's a real beauty in that and a mastery. And I'm going to put those up on our list, and that puts us at about 558 songs now. We were at 556 before this, and hopefully people will go online, and if you just tag, like I said, you can see on the bottom, go to visit our website, theawesomemusicproject.com, and you can tag My Happy Song, and for every post, $1 will be donated to a number of charities which are listed on our website. For more information about the Awesome Music Project, please do check out our website at the Awesome Music Project. Check out, I was going to say check out the song Bobcaygeon, but don't check it out because we're going to hear it in a second from Scott Helman. Do you guys have anything you want to say, or any last questions, or tell us about the favorite food or a restaurant recommendation that we can't go to right now?
Sinatra's, his last big hit, of course, written by Paul Anka.
You mean My Way?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. That sort of ties it back nicely into what Scott's message was. I like that.
And that career, lasted almost 7 decades, which is amazing. But if I could, I would close out by back to the hip for a minute. So 6 months after I recorded with them, I get this package in the mail, and they sent me this. It's a 1936 Greenfield Hawaiian guitar. It's got a hollow neck.
How do you play it with
on your lap? You play it on your lap and you slide, right?
I have a dumb question. Okay.
Well, and this was made. These were made in the 30s by a guy out in Edmonton. He died and left all these parts in his barn. His son owned the barn that these parts were in. The Hip got a hold of Colin Cripps, who became my bandmate in Blue Rodeo in the day. And they said, we want to give Bob something special for playing on the record. Colin got a hold of this guy in this barn and brought this to a fellow in Hamilton, Mike Spicer, a peghead, who built this guitar out of parts from 1936 to give to me for playing on their record.
Amazing.
Isn't that, Scott, it just ties in all of these great things. It shows you the depth of what they would do to be nice to somebody. I think that's the real message for the Hip for me. They were just, they will do anything to help somebody else.
And if you ever want Bob to play on your record, Scott, you're going to have to get something real nice for him, it sounds like.
I'm going to have to find a barn, man, with some old
The bar has been raised pretty high. Well, listen, I want to just thank you guys both for being a part of the Awesome Music Project. I know, Scott, you're more recent, and Bob, you've been with us since the beginning, supporting us. And, I do hope to, I look forward to the time when we can be in person again and we can be live and we have events. I know, Bob, you were part of one of our events where we have storytellers and live musicians. And Scott, I really hope you can come and sing sometime for one of our events. But in the meantime, we're going to just have you close us out with Bobcaygeon. And thanks for recording this for us. And we'll see you around, right?
Thank you so much for having me, and enjoy the song. And it's so good to meet you, Bob.
So good to meet you, Scott. We're going to get together in person soon.
Okay, yeah, I'll bring my Sinatra.
Oh.
And you bring your Casey Musgraves. See you guys. Hey, everybody. It's Scott Helman here. Thank you so much for having me. Songs for a Blue Day. I'm here to play my all-time favorite Canadian song ever written and ever recorded, which is called Bobcaygeon by the Tragically Hip. I'd like to dedicate this to Bob Egan, who not only has an amazing organization called the Awesome Music Project, but who also recorded on this song and is on the original master. So I'm so honored to be here and to play this song. Here it is. Left your house this morning, just a little after 9. It could have been the Willie Nelson, but it could have been the wine. When I left your house this morning, it was a little after 9. It was in Bobcaygeon that I saw the constellation reveal themselves one star at a time. Yeah. Drove back to town this morning, working on my mind. I thought of maybe quitting, thought of leaving it behind. Went back to bed this morning as I'm pulling down the blind. Yeah, the sky was dull and hypothetical, falling one cloud at a time. That night in Toronto, with its checkerboard floors, riding on horseback and keeping order in store till the men couldn't hang. Stepped to the mic and sang, and their voices rang where the Canadians were. To your house this morning, just a little after 9. In the middle of that riot, couldn't get you off my mind. So I'm at your
constellations reveal themselves, reveal themselves, reveal themselves, reveal themselves, reveal themselves, one star at a time. Thank you so much.